So, so as a trader, I say this time and time again that whenever you're um looking at trades to take in for the day, the first thing to consider are the fundamentals coming out for that particular day. That will, to a large extent, determine what trades you'll be looking into, and you should always follow these rules, right? Because if you're looking at fundamentals coming out for the day, possibility that you'll be following the trend would be there, and you wouldn't be trading wrongly. And of course, in this market, you want to catch volatility in order to make good profits from the market, and of course, the best place to get volatility is from the news. So the smart thing to do will be check fundamentals coming out for the day and use that as a basis to check what instruments you'll be trading on. Who is somebody signing? Okay, can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? If you can hear me, let me get a yes.
Yes.
Can you all hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, can hear you.
All right, perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
can hear
All right, so for today, we already had news from the AUD zone, right? We already had news that came out by 2:30 a.m. rather, on the AUD zone. So if you are a night crawler, or if you usually stay awake to trade the Asian section, you would have actually taken advantage of the unemployment change and unemployment rate, which came out positive for AUD. So what you would have noticed in such on AUD charts would have been that AUD actually gained momentum. It boosted, right? So you would have been looking at buying AUD against other currency pair, right? You'll be looking at buying AUD against other currency pair. So if you're analyzing it, you see that the previous actually was 4.0, the forecasted was 18, but the actual that came out was a whopping sum of 75.9 thousand, right? So that's a huge jump in their employment change. Also, if you're looking at their unemployment rates too, their unemployment rate also had a significant drop by 0.1%, so which is a good thing. So when the employment change is high and unemployment rate is low, you get a profitability of that particular instrument. So if you had missed that, well, you would have actually taken advantage of the CYN, right? So they had industrial production at around 3 a.m. and we also had their retail sales came out, and this news, one came out neutral, the other one came out negative. So what you would have seen was a negative outlook for this particular instrument. So you're looking at selling of this instrument against other currency pair, right? You're looking at selling of this instrument against other currency pair. So the ones we've not missed out on, we have news coming out on the euro by 1:15 p.m. right? 1:15 p.m. We have main refinancing rate, the main refinancing rate, and we also have monetary policy statement, right? So the difference between the two news is that one is a data news, a database news, right? So, and the other one is a speech, is a statement, right? So the other one, you might not really get figures on it. So for you to follow up on that news, you really need to listen to the news, or you get the headline as to what the speaker is trying to say. You could tune in on news. I think which of the news actually shows this thing from the Eurozone. I think you could get that on CNN, yeah, most likely on CNN. You could get that on Al Jazeera or something. So, or best thing is you follow up on Twitter Live. Most of these things, they air them on Twitter Live or on YouTube Live. So you could go there, watch what the monetary statement is all about, and use that to decipher the market direction. And of course, as you're watching, you're also on your chart. So probably you're watching the news on your phone, and then you're trying to follow up the trend on your system, on the chart, on the system. And that will be the best way to catch fundamental news that are statements, right? Any news that has to do with statement or speech or report, right? So those are ways you could actually catch them. But for the ones that have data, figures, attached to it. So we're looking at the previous actually came out like at 3.75. It came out at 3.75. What we are expecting, or the forecasted this thing, is 4.0%, right? So the actual will determine if it's going to be positive or negative for this particular instrument. So we're expecting it to be higher than the previous, right? We're expecting this to be higher than the previous. So followed by that, we have by 1:30, we have core retail sales, which will be coming out by 1:30. Yes, we have core retail sales. We have Empire State Manufacturing Index coming out by 1:30. We have retail sales also coming out by 1:30. So we have unemployment claims also coming out by 1:30. And then we also have Philly Fed Manufacturing Index coming out by 1:30. So what you will notice is that all these are data news, right? So of course we're expecting the actual to give us what outlook that currency would actually take. But since we have a couple of high impact news on the USD, we're expecting a whole lot of volatility. And in some scenarios, when you have fundamental like this, when you have an instrument have several fundamentals, right? You're looking at in what direction most of these fundamentals actually come out. So if most of them come out bearish, right, the weight of that might actually give if most of them come out negative, rather, the outlook of that might actually push the chart against the USD, right? But if most of them comes out positive for the dollar, then the outlook of that will give a positive outlook for the dollar, right? So by 1:45, right, by 1:45, we have the ECB press conference. We have the ECB press conference by 1:45. Then by 2:15, we have industrial production, right? Industrial production. So you're seeing that it's going to be a busy day for the USD, right? It's going to be a busy day for the USD. So you can't afford not to trade the US stocks. You can't afford not to trade the US dollar. And also, what other thing? You could also look at agro commodity because they are tagged in dollar also, right? Because sometimes when the dollar is actually affected, it affects the price of some of these agro commodities also, right? So that being said, let's just quickly jump into the charts, considering Euro, USD, Euro, and then the USD. Since we've missed out on AUD and CNY, we'll be focusing more on Euro and USD pair, right? Euro and USD pair based on fundamentals coming out for today. So that being said, we're looking at our first instrument, which is USD JPY, and you could see that already fundamentals from USD JPY. If you're looking at it, the chart is already been on a bullish run, right? I think the JPY on its own so far has not really been doing so well, right? And we've been having consolidating markets in this on this chart for a while, right? Let's mark that out so you can follow through. I'm using MT5 in case you're wondering what outlook is this. This is MT5, right? This is MT5. Right. So I have market range around this point and then this point. So this has been ranging since around the 5th of June. So you could see this consolidation. But like today, because I told you you remember we saw a whole lot of fundamentals coming out from the USD zone. And I think that's the sentiment alone from that fundamental has actually given USD a boost against the JPY. And that might further continue, right? That might further continue. A lot of persons can't see my screen. Let me go to my MT4. Okay, I have not shared my MT4. All right. So I was saying there's this consolidation, right? This consolidation from around the 5th of June up until the 14th of June, right? Up until the 14th of June. So today is 15th, right? We have a breakout already from that consolidation, and that's because of the sentiment around the news coming out for today. And like I said, the JPY on its own has not been doing so well, right? So I'll still be looking out for a continuous buy on this instrument. But for me to be very sure, right, my own perspective would be a buy on this instrument. But for me to be sure, I need to go to a higher time frame, right, to get to see. So the USD JPY is now at the highest point it has been for a while, right? The last time it got to this point was roughly around the 9th of November. On the 9th of November 2022, that was last year November. That was the last time USD JPY approached this high. And of course, there is a very close resistance at the top here, right? There's a very close resistance at the top here. So I'm looking at it on a daily time frame. So because this is a daily time frame, you could see that there is still room for this instrument to actually push to this resistance before you could get any major rejection from that point, right? Before you could get any major rejection from that point. And from the fundamentals coming out today, if it is in favor of the dollar, of course, you might still see price push beyond that resistance up until this point where we have that's 114.86 114.864, right? If it pushes, if the fundamental comes out positive for the dollar, you might see it break the first resistance, still heading up, right? So let's go back to a smaller time frame to determine our entries for today. Going to a smaller time frame, let's say a 1 hour time frame to determine our entries for today, right? So, like I said, price, if you're looking at taking an opportunity of this market at this point in time, you most likely would want to go in for an instant buy on this particular instrument. You most likely want to go for an instant buy. And of course, from here to this resistance, from the current market price down to this resistance, we have roughly about 60 pips, yes, roughly about 62 pips. Or there, yeah, 60 pips, let's say 60 pips. So that's still a good one on USD/JPY. You could take that buy up onto this resistance, and then that should be from now to when the news will come out, because there's no major rejection holding price back, right, until that resistance point. So a good buy will be in order, looking at the sentiment around the dollar at this point in time, up until this resistance. So you enter at the current market price, you might want to take a profit at 142.136. You might want to take a profit at that point. Then ensure you're able to close out your trade, right? You ensure you're able to close out your trade before the fundamental comes out by 1:30. That's a big mistake that a lot of persons make. You hold on to a trade knowing that there's fundamental coming out and hoping that, because when it comes to trading, it's not a game of hope or a game of luck, right? You're not hoping for the market to come out in your favor. You want to be prepared that even if the market doesn't come in your favor, you're not holding any trade at that point in time. So you could easily make a decision to follow the current market direction. So what I'm saying is, if by the time price hits this resistance point and then the news comes out, it comes out against the dollar, what you'll be getting is a major sell-off from this resistance point, right? What you'll be getting is a major sell-off from this resistance point. And if I don't have any trade running, if I don't have a buy running by that time, I could easily go in for a sell following the current market price. I could easily go in for a sell. So you could decide to enter now, right? You could decide to enter now and take your profit at this resistance, and ensure you take your profit before the news. Ensure you take your profit before the news. Then if it comes out positive for the dollar, of course, you would want to ride this momentum following that buy. So you might want to maybe use pending orders or something, or maybe wait until price gets to that point. So my starting point for a much larger buy, my starting point for a much larger buy will be at 142.132 up until the next resistance at 144.86 144.864 144.864. So I'd want to write that if it comes out positive. So the condition there is if it comes out positive for the dollar. So that's what I'm saying. For this morning, you can take a quick buy, because of course sentiments around the dollar will be positive, pushing the dollar up to this resistance. And like I said, it's just sentiment. So the possibility of it breaking this resistance point this morning might not be there until the news comes out, right? Until the news comes out, right? So if it comes out negative for the dollar, of course, you already know what to do. You know you're going to be taking a sell off this resistance point, right? So that's where most likely pending orders might come into play, right? Most likely pending orders might come into play. You might decide to use let's say a sell limit. Yes, you could use a sell limit at this resistance at the top here, right? So you could just right click here, come to trading, you put sell limit at the top here, right? Just at that resistance. You could put your sell limit just at that resistance. So if it is rejected at that point, you could ride that sell all the way down. So but the best bet is just for you to wait for the result of the news, right? After taking the short trade, take a short buy, close out, and then wait for the result of the news. That will give you a fair direction as to where the market will be heading afterwards, right? So my sentiment around this is still going to be a buy. The dollar has actually suffered a good blow this week, right? If you see the likes of Euro USD has actually had a good buy. Like yesterday was crazy buy, though it came down a little bit, but you had crazy buy off on Euro USD. So what I feel is the dollar might actually want to recover some of its losses, though it actually did some recovery, but it might also want to further recover major losses it made yesterday. So I'm still seeing positive sentiments for, and you know the way US policymakers are, they are always looking at possible this thing to ensure that the dollar still keeps looking favorable, because they don't want to lose their power as this thing. They don't want to lose that stand as the world reserve currency, right? So everything they'll definitely will be doing today with all the fundamentals coming out will be to give the dollar a further boost, right? So that being said, you might also want to apply the same principle to USD CHF. Sorry, let me put a naked chart on this so that we could do our analysis together. Okay. I'll take out my Bollinger Bands, delete indicator, and Bollinger Bands, yes, delete indicator. Okay, so looking at this, I think same sentiment is actually playing out on USD CHF. If you're looking at it on a 1 hour time frame, also you've had a major buy off on USD CHF, but the difference between USD CHF and USD JPY is that at this point here, USD CHF has already tested the resistance here, which is at around price level 0.90604, right? USD CHF has already tested this resistance. So you most likely wouldn't want to go in for a buy at this point now, right? So I think USD CHF will be playing the weight game, right? We'll be playing the weight game on this particular instrument. So I definitely will not want to jump into a buy, because this is a resistance. Buying at the resistance is very, 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 very dangerous, right? So you might buy at the resistance and then price gets rejected and starts coming all the way down to this support, making you to lose a ton of your capital, right? Making you to lose a ton of your capital. So what I would want to do is I'd want price to break above this region or completely break below this region. So this region will be my risk zone, right? This region will be my risk zone. I'm definitely not taking any trade in between this region here. From year to year, I'm not taking any trade in between this region. It's my risk zone, right? I want to be sure that price breaks completely above or completely below this point. Like I said, my sentiment around the dollar is still positive, so I still expect that this should break above, but it might actually come as a result of the push from the news. What you'll be seeing on USD CHF this morning might be a quiet market until you get that major push off from the news. So what I'd want to do is I'd want to take a buy if price breaks above this point at 0.90644. If price breaks above here, I'd want to go in for a good buy up until the resistance point here, right? Up until this resistance point here, right? So this would give you about how many pips in profit, right? If I'm calculating from year up until year, that's roughly about 380 points, right? That amounts to about 38 pips in profit, right? That amounts to about 38 pips in profit. And like I said, it's fundamental and we have a couple of them. So the possibility of it breaking above this or the second resistance also is there. So what I'd advise is, if you could do this, you could leave your take profit opened, right? If you could leave your take profit open, or you could use a good lot size and then target the first take profit, and you're already out of the market with as much profit as you can, because this is currency trading. So of course, if you're using better volume, it will amount to better profit for you, and you don't need to stress yourself much. So if I'm using, let's say, a standard lot on this particular instrument, right? If I'm using a standard lot on this particular instrument, I probably will be making roughly about on a standard lot, that should be making me roughly about 5,000 naira, if I'm not mistaken. Now on Euro USD, you should be making about 2,000 naira on a standard lot, right? So it's currency, you wouldn't be making so much. So if I'm using, let's say, 2 standard lot, for example, if I'm using 2 standard lot, at least I should be making roughly about 4,000 naira. So if I'm targeting 4,000 naira times that 38 pip, right? if I'm doing 4,000 naira times that 38 pips on 2 standard lots, so 4,000 naira times that 38 pips on 2 standard lots, that's roughly about 852,000 naira on that trade, and you're good to go, right? This is currency trading, of course, but you know you cannot throw 2 standard lots if you don't have good sum of capital in your trading account. So use lot size that are proportional to your account and be smart about it. Of course, you can't make all the money in one trade, but if you're smart about it, you could use a good lot size proportional to your account, and the risk exposure would also be minimal, right? So so if it comes out negative for the dollar, of course you'd want to be going on a bearish move. You want to be going for a bearish move, and of course, looking at it now, price might actually just range in between these points from year to year. That's why I said don't trade year. If not, you would just be trading a ranging market. Don't trade here. You will just be trading a ranging market, and it might be quiet and very, very frustrating. You know, quiet market can be very, very frustrating if you've entered the trade at the wrong time, or maybe on a day where you have fundamental, and prior to the time when the news will be coming out, you discover you most likely will be getting very, very little market movement, right? And it can be frustrating when you're already on a trade. You've placed a trade and it's neither going in negative nor profit. It's just stagnant. So it's best you just avoid a ranging market, right? It's just best you just avoid a market like this. That's why I'm saying don't trade in this region. Don't take a buy nor a sell in this region. So you want to wait for a breakout. So this is most likely what we'll call the breakout strategy. So if it breaks out to the upside, you're good on a buy, and if it comes out negative, it breaks out to the low to the downside, you're good on a sell. Of course, targeting the next support, right? You're targeting the next support at the bottom. I wish the MT5 had shape which I could color like the MT4. I don't know. I've tried looking for. Okay, let me see shapes. Okay, yeah, but I think the shapes on the MT5 doesn't allow you to fully customize and color it. Let's see, fill color parameters. No, so this doesn't allow you to completely color the inside of the box. So I might not be able to give the accurate this in this in an accurate picture of it. I just wanted to draw a color so that you could just get where your rig zone, or let's do this. So within here, I could change this to red. Okay, I could change this to red. Yes. I could also change this to red. So within my red region is my rig zone. So I'm not going to be taking a trade in between that region. I'm not going to be taking a trade in between this region. And then these are my targets. These are my most likely targets region. So I'm looking at giving this, this is teal, giving it somewhat of a green, and giving this also somewhat of a green. All right. Okay. All right. So these are just the parameters. It breaks above, you're going for a buy. Target here, you break below, you're going for a sell. But my sentiment around this is actually going to be a buy, because I feel the dollar should actually push out positive for today from the news that we have. Right. So let's look at another instrument. We're looking at USD CAD, and notice this. I'm pairing instruments that don't have fundamentals coming out against instruments that have fundamentals coming out. That's another smart thing you need to do, right? Because in as much as you're expecting an instrument that has fundamental, you shouldn't pair it with another instrument expecting a high fundamental, because in a scenario where both of them comes out positive, what you'll be seeing is also a ranging market, but because both instruments are strong, right? A ranging market will not give you money, right? A ranging market will not give you money. A clear-cut directional market is what you're looking for. So you're pairing an instrument that comes out, that is having high fundamental coming out, against an instrument that's going to be quiet for that day. So most likely you already you already determine the variable. You know that even if it comes out negative, it only amounts to the active instrument being weaker than the inactive instruments, right? So and if it comes out positive, it's only imply that the active instruments would come out stronger than the inactive instrument. I hope you get that analogy. So it's just one smart thing that traders actually miss out, and it's in the long run, it would actually help in your trading, right? It's a help in your trading, because it's also important to determine the trades you're taking. In as much as you want to take your trade, the major challenge also, and the major this thing you could actually you could actually overcome is determining what instrument you should trade on, right? So with this strategy, you could actually determine good instruments to trade on and the best and most effective way to actually trade on those instruments, right? So for today also, we have USD card. We don't have any major fundamental coming on the card, but we have fundamentals coming out on the USD. So already we have a ranging market on this particular instrument. Looking forward to the news, right? We have a ranging market. You could see this price ranging at around price level 1.33546 and between price level 1.33223, right? Price has been ranging in between that, and that range might actually continue up until when that news will come out, right? So a lot of persons will say, can I not scalp this market? Of course you can scalp this market, right? I think someone will ask me, as a scalper, don't you think it would be wise for me to enter a scalping market? Yes, you could enter a scalping market, but don't forget these are currency pairs, right? You really might not get what you're looking for if you're scalping currency. But I'm not saying you shouldn't scalp currency. Of course, if you're using good lot size to scalp currency with 1 or 2 people and you're out of the market, you should make reasonable amount of profit. But for me, it's not worth my while, so I don't really delve into scalping on currency market. But if you're a scalper, of course, you're looking at scalping as soon as price hits, because now currently I'm looking at it on a 15 minutes time frame. If you're a scalper and you're looking at scalping this particular instrument, you would want to wait for price to rest on your support and then start scalping a buy. And then as soon as price hits your resistance point at the top here, so your resistance has already been marked out, your support has already been marked out. All you just need to do is follow through on the market direction. So in as much as price hits your support, you're scalping, you start scalping a buy, or you could put a buy limit, or you start scalping a buy, or you could put a buy limit just close to the support here. So it triggers your buy limit, and as soon as price starts bouncing back up, you should make good profit from there. So if you're scalping in between this region from the top here to the bottom, that will give you roughly about 34 pip both ways, right? 34 pip both ways. So if I'm scalping a buy, as soon as price hits my support, I scalp a buy, I make 34 pip, and then once it hits my resistance, I scalp a sell from the resistance points down, I make another 34 pips. And to some persons, that would be good, and you could actually make your money and you're out of the market. So if you're trading in between this region, you could do that. But if you're more of a position trader, right? If you're more of a position trader, of course, you would want to hold on and play the patient game, allow this range market to play out, right? Allow this ranging market to play out. So currently, price is not at a major resistance point or at a major support point for you to get a full-blown market reversal, right? So you get market reversals when price is at the lowest point of the chart. So assuming price was currently here, where we had a full market, where we had price at the lowest point of the chart. So this is the lowest point of the chart. So any rejection at around here will be giving us a full market reversal. So already the reversal has started, right? On this particular instrument, USD card, the reversal had already started. We've had the candlestick formation for a reversal pattern, which played out yesterday, and most likely we might see a trend continuity. The reversal has just started, so it might not really be a full, so until it breaks above this resistance here before we say it's now a full-blown bullish reversal pattern, right? So until it breaks above here, you know that it will continue. There will be nothing stopping it again, right? There will be nothing stopping it. But for now, there are still 2 resistance points. There is one at this point where price is currently resisted at, and then there's another one just above it. So if price is not able to break above that, you probably might see another lower low, right? You probably might see another lower low. So price would, you could, of course, we all know characteristics of a downtrend now, lower lows and lower highs. We won't be delving into that in this class, or in this session rather. So if price is not able to break that resistance, and again, the news will also play a factor as to whether price would break that resistance or not. And if it doesn't break that, of course, you should still be getting lows on USD card. But like I said, sentiment around the dollar now is positive, and it should still give the dollar a boost. It should still give the dollar a boost. So I'm still going to stick my neck out for a buy on this instrument, right? But I'd want to buy cautiously. So I'll be buying if price is able to break above 1.33 1.33546. If price is able to break above there, you could pitch your buy at around anywhere around there. So if you notice from year to year, that's giving you roughly about 31 pip, right? That's roughly about 31 pip in profit. And of course, if you have as much faith as I do in this fundamental coming out, you might want to extend your take profit up to the next resistance at the top. So if because it's a whole lot of fundamental news coming out today. I'll be disappointed if that news doesn't move the market as much as it is supposed to. So it does be telling me that all those news didn't really do anything. So and it will be very disappointing for me because I already have my neck stocked out for this resistance at the top here. I feel price should get to this resistance at the top here. So that will give us a whopping sum of about 618 points. That's roughly about 61 pip, right? So using a good lot size on this particular instrument, let's take, for example, you're going on a standard lot, right? It's currency pair, you're going on a standard lot on the likes of USD card. Probably you're making roughly about 1,100 naira. 1,800 or 1,600 or thereabout. If you're making roughly around that on a standard lot on this particular instrument, times 63, right? You could do the math yourself and you see that that's quite a lot. And if you have good volume in your account, you have, let's say, a good 5 million naira in your account, you could use 2 to 3 standard lot on this particular instrument. And like I said, it's currency pair. So if you're calculating that's your 1,300 or 1,400 or thereabout, calculating that times 3, then multiply by 63, right? Multiply by the 63 pips that you would actually be targeting. You see that that's quite a good amount of return at the end of this trade, right? So that's it on USD card. And of course, if it comes out positive, you most likely will be seeing price break below this support, right? You most likely will be seeing price break below this support. So that's why I'm saying it will be best if you're trading the breakout, since price is not at the major support zone where you're looking at a sure market reversal. So you just want to wait, except you're scalping the market, and I already gave you parameters for scalping this market, right? I already gave you the parameter for scalping this market. But if you're a position trader, it's best you just play the wait game and enter above that resistance or below the support, depending on the effect of the news. So that being said, we won't be looking at Euro USD since we're expecting news on both the Euro and the USD today. You play it safe if you just stay off Euro USD, right? So it might come out negative for the euro and then positive for the dollar, giving a one-sided direction. But that will also be playing the guess game. What if it comes out positive for the both of them and you're already on a trade on euro USD? Or what if it comes out negative for the both of them and you're already on a trade on euro USD? You most likely would be losing money on that particular trade. So don't play the guess game. Just be analytical and be critical about everything. Be intentional rather about everything you're doing. So if I were you, I'll stay off Euro USD and trade other instruments against the ones that are coming out today, right? So we're looking at Euro. We've already looked at 3 GBP USD pair. Let's also look at 3 Euro pair. We'll look at gold, and then we'll look at stocks, and then we'll call it a day, right? Time is fast spent, though we started late, but I think I would add extra 15 minutes to make up for the 15 minutes gap in our starting time, right? So let's look at Euro. Let's look at Euro card, or let's start with Euro GBP, Euro JPY. Let's look for the Euro pair. Aside the Euro USD, we have, okay, let me just go to my market watch so we don't waste a whole lot of time. Okay, let's look at Euro card. Let's look at Euro card. We'll also look at Euro JPY, right? Euro JPY. Okay, found that Euro JPY, and also look at Euro GBP. Yes, Euro GBP. So we don't have fundamental coming up on those quote currencies. So let's take them. Okay, so looking at the first one, Euro JPY. I already had the chart opened. I didn't know They had the chart open. So Euro JPY also, you're also getting that sentiment. So you see the Euro is expecting news today. And if you had, so the smart thing would have been to start the sentiment from the beginning. If you had checked yesterday and you know that there is going to be a news on Euro, right? By early hours of this morning, you should have already started putting your buy trades in order, right? So before price actually hit, you just check, where's the next resistance point? You could go in an instant execution and then follow the sentiment, because there are three bases to this market. There's fundamental analysis, there's technical analysis, there's also sentimental analysis. So people's sentiments might drive the market. So because there is a news coming out on the Euro, we are not sure if it is going to be positive or negative yet, but because there is a news coming out on the Euro, most likely people would go in favor of the Euro, right? So that's what we call sentiment. That's what we call sentiment. So sentimental analysis also works if you're able to key into it early enough. So you're not keying into sentimental analysis few minutes to when the news will be coming out. So sentiment actually occurs maybe few hours prior to when the news will be dropping, maybe early, maybe in the morning. Like you could see now, if you had followed sentiment, you would have actually understood that the sentiment will push the market of this market, Euro JPY, up. Right, so you would have taken advantage of the sentiment this morning, even before the news comes out, and then by the time the news comes out, you are looking at entering another set of trades again. You get? So it's something you should also write down and also put into consideration when you're taking your trades. So you could see that Euro JPY has actually hit a very high point, and let's go back. Let's go back in time to see when was the last time Euro JPY actually got to this point. You could see this is the highest point in a while. I've gone all the way to November 8th, 2020. I'm still not seeing a previous high point, and I'm on a weekly time frame, guys, and there's still no high point. So this is the highest point that Euro JPY has gotten to in a long time. I've gone all the way to 2019. I'm still not seeing any high point. Let's go to a monthly time frame also. Wow. So I've gone all the way to 2016, right? I've gone all the way to 2016. I've traveled back in time. This is time traveling, right? I've traveled back in time, and still the only time price actually came close to that was 2014, right? 2014, yes. I'm still scrolling back. 2014, 2012. Okay, I think 2012 is still, it still didn't get as high as this in 2012. 2011, 2010, no. 2010, no. Okay, let's see. 2909. Okay, so we can agree that that's the highest point that Euro JPY has gotten to. Oh, okay. I've seen one in 2007, right? The last time that price actually got this high or price exceeded this point was 2007. So you could see that that's the higher, that's the next high point here, 2007. So you see how I had to travel back in time. Right? When it comes to this market, the market will turn you into a time traveler, right? You need to travel back in time to get good technical analysis, and that's what a lot of persons don't consider. You just enter that trade blindly. Bah. You just enter your buy. Boom. Okay, when you're entering your buy now, where will you put your take profit, or what parameter are you taking as your take profit, right? So you could see that price is actually struggling at this point because there was once a support here, which is now a Tonkot resistance, right? This is a Tonkot support rather, because it's a support that's now a resistance. So that support was in 2007, which is now acting as a resistance in present time, right? It's a support in 2007, which is now acting as a resistance in present time, right? In present time. So let's go back to our hourly time frame, right? And let's do a little shrink of the chart a little. So you could see that that's quite far, right? That's quite far. If you're looking at that, of course, we're looking at a breakout in play because we have fundamental coming out on the Euro. Should it come out positive for the Euro, Euro should have no problem breaking this resistance, right? So, and that's quite a lot. I don't think even with that fundamental, because this is we checked the next resistance on a monthly time frame. Even with the fundamental coming out today, I don't think Euro will be able to cover up. That's roughly about let's see how many people. That's roughly about 13,231 points. 13,231 points. That's roughly about 1,323 1,323 pips, right? 1,323 pips. So that's quite a lot. So I don't think with the fundamental we'll be able to achieve. But there's nothing that's impossible in the market though. But personally, have I seen the market travel? Yeah, probably during the time of that the COVID-19, right, where oil actually dropped over 1,000 pip, right? So I don't think that will play out on the Eurozone today, right? So most likely we might just want to be we might just want to take as little as we can since the next resistance is quite far, right? We might just want to take as little as we can. So I'm looking at half of this, right? It's possible we can achieve half of that. It's possible we can achieve half of that. And being that it's at the highest point. So if price is going to be breaking this point, it's going to be creating a new high, right? If a new high in recent time, I stand corrected, a new high in recent time. So if price is going to be breaking above this today, it's going to be creating a new high in recent time. So I'm going to be targeting half of this, or most likely the best thing to do in this particular scenario will be to keep your take profit open using a trailing stop. So half of that, I'm going to be calculating about 680 pips, or about 680 pip, right? That's more achievable, 680 pip, right? So, or better still, like I said, leave your take profit open. So you could go in for a buy as soon as price is able to break above this point, right? As soon as price is able to break above your price level 153.430. Once price breaks above that, you could go in for a buy, and then you could leave your take profit open, use a trailing stop, right? Depends on what you're looking for. You could trail your profit or just watch your trade until you get a reasonable amount of profit, and then you're out of the market, right? Because the next resistance point is quite far, and possibility that price might actually hit that resistance is a little bit slim, right? So what might happen will be price might actually form a new resistance along the way, right? Price might actually form a new resistance along the way if the volatility is not strong enough to push price to the next resistance, right? If the volatility is not strong enough to push price to the next resistance. And like I said, that's all in speculation of if the news comes out positive or not, right? If the news comes out positive or not. So if it comes out positive, of course, that's a clear in cut direction for a buy, right? But it will be safe if you're entering your buy above that resistance point. And if it comes out negative, you most likely would also consider this, taking a sell should price break below the previous low, which is somewhere around here, right? But like I said, my sentiment on this instrument is a buy. So though we are having a quiet market on Euro JPY, so it would just be best for you to wait and play the weight game. Play the weight game on this particular instrument, since it's not at any notable, it's at the highest point, but fundamental is coming out in favor of the euro. So if it's going to actually sell, of course, you'd want to wait for that sell move to start and then follow the trend. I don't think that needs any technical glitch to it, or any technical phase to it. All you just need to do is to follow the market move. So be on the chart few minutes to when the news will be starting, and as soon as the news comes out, if it's positive for the euro, of course, you're taking it out once price breaks above that resistance point, right? And if it comes out negative, you would take your sell all the way, right, using a trailing stop on this particular instrument, right? So let's go to the next euro pair. So we're looking at Euro GBP, right? Euro GBP also, we have more of a ranging market, right? So you could see that Euro GBP has actually made a triple bottom, right? If I'm not mistaken, yes, this is a triple bottom, right? So we've had rejection 1, rejection 2, rejection 3 playing out, and we've also had your bullish engulfing, right? Your bullish engulfing, so your bullish candle totally covering your 2 bearish candle, right? Which is your bullish engulfing, and then a confirmation candle is almost about to be formed, right? Your confirmation candle is almost about to be formed. So your confirmation now for this bullish engulfing will be a green candle following. So if this candle closes bullish, of course, that's a clear in-cut direction for a buy. No debate about that. That's a clear in-cut direction for a buy. There is no debate about that. So what you're going to be doing also, because that's also going to be happening at around this resistance point here. So what you'll be doing is, in as much as you've gotten your confirmation, you'd also want to go in for a buy at around here, right? So this is a very, very sweet trade setup. This is a very, very sweet trade setup because you have opportunities for you to play around this particular trade. So as soon as price breaks above here, from year to year is a clear-cut direction for a buy, and it's earning you quite a lot on your 1 hour time frame. So you're looking about roughly about 39 pip, right? Roughly about 39 pip on this particular instrument. So it's quite a lot, and you'd actually stand to benefit a lot from this trade, right? So you of course want to wait for my confirmation. I want to wait for my confirmation and wait for price to break above here. But my sentiment on this particular instrument is also going to be a buy in favor of the euro, except it comes out negative for the news. Except it comes out negative for the euro, right? But already the trade setup is beautiful. You could get it. You already have your triple bottom: rejection 1, rejection 2, and a third rejection today. Everything is a good setup for a buy trade. So the last one we'll be looking at is Euro AUD, right? Euro AUD. Already we had sentiment around the AUD this morning, right? Which gave this major drop in price, So like I said, if you were a nice crawler and you traded AUD on an instrument like Euro AUD, you would have taken a sell, made profit from the sell, and you're out of the market already, and wait for the news coming out again later in the day. But since you didn't make that move, or if you made that move, congratulations to you. But if you didn't, then most likely we're going to be, because the sentiment around the AUD at this point has faded off, and you could see that sellers had actually started losing momentum in this market, right? Sellers have actually started losing momentum in this market, right? So what would actually be expecting is price break above this point, and then we get a clear-cut direction for a buy. So if price is able to break above this point, we'll be getting a clear-cut direction for a buy. So my sentiment on this instrument also would be a buy in favor of the euro, right? So of course, I'm looking at this support zone. So if it comes out negative for the euro, of course, if for any reason it breaks below this support, I just cut out my buy, cut my losses, and then move on to some other instrument that I can use in recovering my losses, right? So this is my threshold, or let's say my stop loss zone. This is my threshold, or more likely my stop loss zone at around this point here. So if price breaks below here, you have no business holding on to a buy trade on this particular instrument. If it breaks above here, you could take your buy from anywhere in this region. So if you come maybe later in the day and you see price, in as much as it is around this region, you could still hit that buy button, right? In as much as it is around this region, right, you could still hit that buy button. So let's go into gold. Then we look at indices, and then we are out. All right, let's go into gold. Where do I have my gold chart? Okay, perfect. So of course, we all know about the correlation between the dollar and the gold, right? Correlation between the dollar and the gold, and that is wearing out, right? That's already playing out. Of course, when the dollar is good, you have negative sentiment on gold. Gold will start pushing down, and it's already playing out. So you could see this major drop from yesterday, even further drop from the sentiment this morning, making gold to actually push down, right? So we most likely would see price. It has tested this support zone. It broke it, but it was rejected, right? It tried breaking it rather, because it didn't close below it. For it to say it has broken below its support, it has to have closed below that support zone, right? So it tested it, and it's still testing it. So from the fundamental coming out, most likely you might actually see a breakthrough on this instrument, right? Most likely you might see a breakthrough on this instrument. So price might actually break below this support, pushing gold all the way down, right? So that's also the tentative on what the news comes out as. If it comes out positive for the dollar, of course, is to break below. But if it comes out negative, then you might see a rebound. Already, this is a strong rejection point, right? Already, this is a strong rejection point, rejection 1, rejection 2. So everything on gold now is hanging on the balance of that news, right? So if it comes out negative, then gold would definitely, because gold also has to do a recovery of the major fall it has made, right? For the past how many days? For the past 2 days or 3 days consecutively. So you've had that major fall off on gold consecutively. So most likely this instrument will be looking for more of a recovery. But if the news still comes out positive, then I'm not sure that recovery will be happening today. It will happen at some point, but definitely not today, until the sentiment around the dollar actually fades off, right? So my take on gold will be a sell, right? My take on gold will actually be a sell. So what I'm now what I now need to determine is where will be my best point to exit that trade. My best exit point for that trade. So my best exit point for that trade will be at the next support. You see, I had to go to a daily time frame to get a clearer view of where my next likely support to be, right? My next likely support is somewhere around here. Right, my next likely support will be somewhere around there. So if I zoom back or I go back to my hourly time frame, I come here. So you'd see that that's roughly around price level 1 point. Let me delete all this. We don't need them. Delete all of this so you don't get so confused. All right, so my next support zone is roughly around 1914.41, 1914.41. So that will be my next support zone. So if you're calculating how many pip in profit you'd making from that particular trade to see if it's worth it, so that is roughly about 179 pip. Yeah, 179 pip is a good one on this particular instrument. 179 pip is a good one on this particular instrument, right? So like I said, my sentiment around gold is a sell. My sentiment around gold is a sell on this particular instrument. So if it comes out positive for the dollar, or if it comes out negative rather for the dollar, of course you know what to do. Since this is a good support zone, you get price bounce off this particular point, right? So you get price bounce off this particular point, and then price will definitely be heading up to this resistance here, right? So that's in an event where price comes out negative. So for this morning, you most likely will just do, and it's, of course, it's gold. You could still scalp the market on gold. Let's go to a 15 minutes time frame for those that will be looking at scalping this market, and that will give us better clear-cut opportunities to actually take short-term trades. So because I'm going to be taking short-term trades, I also like to employ one of my very, very good indicator and my best friend when it comes to this market, which is my moving average, right? My moving average is one, as a scalper, I use moving average quite a lot. Where do I have? Okay, so I use my moving average. Moving average is a trend indicator. So you come to here, moving average, I would be using my 21 period moving average. So if you're looking at it on my moving average is actually serving also as a resistance for price. So it's most likely telling you that if I'm going to be going in for a buy at this point, it's going to be detrimental to my capital, right? If I'm going for a buy, it's going to be detrimental to my capital. So everything on this particular instrument is most likely going to be pushing the chart down. So what I'd want to do as a scalper, let's even look at it on a 5 minutes time frame. Are there opportunities to go in for a short-term trade? On your 5 minutes time frame, price is actually above my moving average, right? But it's trading very, very close to the moving average. So since the sentiment around my this thing is a sell, what I'd want to do is I'd wait for price to completely retrace off the moving average. So if it's going to the buy side, right? If it's pushing up, this is for scalpers now. If you're not a scalper, you might just want to ignore this particular analysis, right? So of course, the best way to trade moving average as a scalper is trade price following the market trend, right? Trade price following the market trend. So I want to take a sell. The market, of course, the overall direction of the market would most likely be a sell, right? So of course, but my pointers on this chart now is showing me a buy on a 5 minutes time frame. Pointers on this instrument is showing me a buy on a 5 minutes time frame. So what I'd want to do is I want this buy to play out, right? I would want this buy to play out. Market should push up into a buy to this resistance, and then I can start taking my sell from this resistance point, right? What will I achieve by doing that? If I'm taking a buy, right, there's every possibility that the trend would occur and then I start losing money because the overall direction is a sell, right? But if I'm going to ignore that buy, right, allow that buy to play out and start taking a sell, what it will amount to is, despite the fact that I'm selling a sell or I'm taking a sell, even if there is a slip or I'm not able to close my trade in time, at the end of the day, the market should still follow the overall direction, putting me in an advantage position, right? I don't know if you get the analysis, but it's very, very simple. Rather than play out this buy on an instrument that you know that is going to go on a clear sell direction, right? It will be dangerous taking a buy because you just want to, how many, and if you look at it, how many people in profit will you make from this short trade, right? You're just looking about, so it's not worth the effort, right? Trying to just take just this little buy. So why not wait until price plays out that buy up to this resistance, and then from the resistance at the top, you now start taking a sell. So what you're looking at is using sell limits at this resistance. So you could set your sell limit at this resistance point, right? So you could do this, come here, you put your sell limit at this resistance point. Oh, that lot size is a tad too high. Let's see, 0.01. Okay, so if I'm using my sell limit at this point, sell limit at this point, so I could put my sell limit at around there. So if price gets to this point, is rejected, it starts coming back down, I'll still be making my profit on a sell. So let's look at indices and then we call it a day. So we're looking at US 2000 also. US 2000, we have more of a quiet market on US 2000, and I think that should be playing out on other indices pair too. Also, if you're comparing it to US, another instrument that people trade most, if you're comparing it to US 100, if you're comparing it to US 100 also, okay, US 100, you're actually seeing a little bit of a buy trade. But let's finish up on US 2000, right? US 2000, for US 2000, you have more of a ranging market, and of course, the best thing would be to scalp US 2000 this morning, depending on when the news actually comes out. My general direction on indices would be a sell, right? My general direction on indices would be a sell. You could see that there was a gap down yesterday, and the market has not actually fully covered up this gap. So I still expect that the market should cover this gap on US 2000 today, right? I expect that the market should cover up this gap on US 2000 today. So my stance on US 2000 be a sell, right? So, and price is already at a resistance point here. So you could go in for an instant sell, scalping the market all the way back down, right, from this resistance, or use a sell limit or an instant sell, whichever one you want to do. Do an instant sell on US 2000, scalping the market all the way down until the close of this gap, down to the close of this gap, right? Down to the close of this gap on US 2000, right? So if you're a position trader, of course, you want to be trading below your previous low, because this is US 2000. It has a close price marking. It has a close price marking. So little people on US 2000 will still make you quite a lot of money. So I'll be taking a sell if price is able to break below my support here, down to the next support, right? Down to the next support at around this point here. Right, I'll take my sell up down to this point here. So my preference on US 2000 is also a sell. Same thing with US 100 also. I'm looking out for a sell. Same thing with US 100. Where's my US 100 chart? I just saw it a few minutes ago. Okay, so US 100, if you're looking at it on a 1 hour time frame, you could also see that it's ranging too. You also had that gap yesterday. So same scenario. You could scalp your sell. You could do an instant sell. If you're a scalper, you could see that price is also being tested at a resistance point here, expecting that price will come back down. And like I said, I expect price to cover up this market gap. This market gap is an abnormality which needs to be corrected. So I expect price to cover up this market gap. And of course, I'll be looking out for a sell if price is to cover that market gap. So once price is able to break below this point, I could go in for my sell. Up until the close of this gap here, up until the close of this gap. So that's just it. So like I say, The market review is just there to help you determine entries and also get you to understand how these analyses are being done, right? How these analyses are being done, right? So if you're looking at making all the money from trade signals, right? You most likely are not, you're most likely you're not looking at this market in the right direction. The goal is to understand this market, and I can assure you, whatsoever amount you want to be making in profit is super achievable if you understand how this market works. And that's the whole essence of this money market analysis. So you could see how it's being done, right? You could see how it's being done. Try out a few trades and also try out analysis on your own. Don't be scared to try out analysis on your own. Try them out on your demo account. If you're successful, you could push into your real account. And if you're not doing so well, you go back to your demo account to retest and test your strategies again and ensure that you understand this market in full, right? So it's nice hosting you this morning. Sorry about the delay, and we look forward to another edition of the Money Market Review. Do have a wonderful day. Okay.